ride, for the journey, for the fight, against men, against machines, buy guns, buy the best, fight clean, fight dirty, with stealth, with force, choose sides, choose tactics, for the bonus, for the perks, for the money. War is our business.
What's up, boys? Welcome back to a look at the PlayStation Vita's short line of FPS games. And in the last video, we looked at the Vita's most disappointing shooter, being Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified. But now, today, we'll be looking at what I think is the Vita's, and might be in general, best FPS game on a handheld. Killzone Mercenary, which is one of my favorite Vita games and is definitely the game that shows off how technically impressive the Vita really is. This game was truly amazing, but before we jump into it, thank you so much for the support on the last video. It's much appreciated. We're hopping back on that grind, so let's stop the chit chat. Thank you guys so much. Let's jump straight into it. Killzone Mercenary was released on September 4th, 2013, about 2 years after the Vita's release. Unlike COD on the Vita, the game was actually made by people who helped work on the mainline Killzone games, being Guerrilla, Cambridge. These developers helped work on mainline Killzone games, Little Big Planet, and Medieval. RIP, guys. But anyway, the game release being one of the big titles on the Vita. I mean, just look at this fucking trailer. This game looked immaculate. With these PS3-esque graphics and the promise of a full-fledged MP, the stakes were high and people were excited, especially with the lack of FPS games on the Vita. This game was in high demand. So let's cut the chit chat and let's jump into the best FPS game on the Vita, Killzone Mercenary. Let's get started with the campaign. First, the plot of the game. I'm not going to talk too much about the plot because, well, there isn't much to talk about in this game. Also, this video is more about the gameplay of Killzone. But we'll give a brief rundown of the story and work our way down the rest of the game. So without spoiling too much, you play as Aaron Danner, an ex-UCA turned Phantom Talon Corp mercenary, taking place in between all three mainline games. In this game, you take contracts from both the ISA and Helghast, which, side note, playing as a member of the Helghast is really fucking cool. But anyway, each mission you play through is a different contract to fulfill, taking place all through some of the biggest spectacles of the Killzone games, like the Helghast invasion on Diretam and the Helghast embassy. In these spectacles, you do contracts like saving an ISA admiral with your best friend, Damien Ivanov, taking out cannons, rescuing Helgen scientists, and saving a kid. And stopping both sides from receiving a bioweapon that can take out the entire fucking universe. You know, the usual. That's pretty much the gist of it. If you want to know the rest, I highly recommend you play the campaign if you like the Killzone games and the lore. It's an amazing side game that shows off a bunch of what goes on in the background of the games and shows off a more human side of the war. It is truly amazing, and again, it's a very big spectacle. But let's talk about a very big part of this game and a big reason why it did so well on the Vita, and that's the graphics and the atmosphere. Like I said before, this game is definitely one, if not the best looking game on the Vita. The graphics are real dark and gritty, real depressing, but all in a good way. The graphics really fit the atmosphere of an old war game and really sell the idea of this dying civilization on a planet that the Killzone games are known for. The weapons and characters designs are just outstanding, and the game just nails the atmosphere that made Killzone 2 and 3 so popular. Truly amazing. This game also has some of the best environmental storytelling I've ever seen in a handheld game. But how does the gameplay complement that? Well, the gameplay side of the campaign is very good at keeping the game intriguing. First, the small stuff. The game feels butter smooth. It completely feels like a mainline Killzone game, and I imagine that was very hard for the developers to replicate on a handheld. The game feels heavy in a good way. All the weapons pack a mad punch and have good feeling recoil. All the levels play pretty well. There's a good balance of missions, and they're all pretty decent length for a handheld game. Each mission has a good variety of quests to do, and the enemy dialogue is really fucking funny. Now for the more interesting things about the gameplay. First of all, you're a mercenary, and what do mercenaries love?
Money!
So this game fully capitalizes on that by having a currency system in this game, kind of like BO1. You get this currency by killing people, doing mission challenges, playing on harder difficulties, getting headshots, and sneak attacking important people. This currency is used to do something that pretty much no FPS campaign lets you do, which is fully customize your loadout for each mission. With this currency, you find blackjack markets around each mission. They're just basically like stores, where you can buy primary weapons ranging from ARs, SMGs, LMGs, and snipers. You can buy secondaries like pistols, launchers, shotguns, and whatever this is. And different kinds of grenades. You can also buy armor, but this isn't just any armor. Yes, there are 6 different type of armor in Killzone's campaign and MP that each offer a unique buff that creates interesting ways to demolish players in both campaign and MP. There's the combat armor. That is just your all-around good armor that provides with decent mobility and resistance. You got the mercenary vest, which provides double the money you make from each kill. You got the blast armor that gives you extra protection against explosives and incendiaries, and also reduces the effects of flash and gas grenades. There's the ballistic vest, which gives you the max resistance to bullet damage and also negates the damage multiplier from headshots. Then you got the infiltrator vest, which gives you max noise reduction and max mobility. And last but not least, you got the supply vest, which gives you more ammo capacity and gives you an ambient recharge for your Vanguard. Wait a minute, what's Vanguards? No, not those shit Vanguards. I'm glad you asked. Vanguards are another thing to spend your currency on in this game. Vanguards are kind of like kill streaks from COD, and they're sick. You got the Mantis drone, which is this controllable drone that clamps onto people's head. Oh my god. You got the Sky Fury, which is an airborne vehicle that shoots missiles. There's the ARC missile that acts like a little electric trap thing. I don't really know how to explain this one. You got the Porcupine, which is a bunch of lock-on missiles that you use the touchscreen to blow people up with. That's a lot of things to buy with your coins. A lot of fun, actually, when you start buying things, going back and redoing missions while using different builds, and it's truly a great grind and adds so much replay value to the campaign. And it's also a great system to reward players for playing better and just adds so much to an already amazing campaign. In conclusion, the campaign in this game is definitely one of the best linear FPS campaigns ever. What I look for in FPS campaigns is replayability, and this game's got plenty of that. It might not have much of a great story, but it doesn't matter because it makes up for it with the gameplay. How the game gives you something to grind for the rewards for the player. Giving dozens of ways to approach each encounter, giving you different options and bigger rewards for going back to missions. Having an amazing scenery and engine. I really appreciate this campaign and I love going back to it every now and then. Well, now it's time to talk about multiplayer, and oh boy, this multiplayer is pretty good. Let's get into it, starting with content first, the maps. Killzone Mercenary has 8 multiplayer maps: Shoreline, Marketplace, Zenith Refinery, Skyline, Inlet, and 2 Killzone 2 remakes, Ferris Depot, and Blood Ratchet. Not bad for a handheld considering Declassified's 5 maps. And this wasn't like the Declassified maps where they were just half-ass attempts at the console maps. These were full-fledged maps. These maps were really fun to play on. Some of them were a little too big, but most of them were just the perfect size, and they all look and play amazing.
That's what she said!
The remakes of Killzone 2 maps look even better than the original, and I really have no complaints for the maps, except again, they're just a little too big. Each map's had their amazing spots, their iconic spots. They all utilized the movement of the game very well, and all made each vanguard work on the map. It really seems like they put a lot of effort and didn't just half-ass these maps because they were on a handheld. Really appreciated that. Now let's get on to the weapons, where I think this is a great time to mention that all currencies and unlocks are cross-progression with the campaign, meaning all the money you make and all the things you bought in campaign transfer to MP and vice versa. I really like this feature, and it feels like no matter what you're playing, you're always making progress and you're never wasting your time. But anyway, there is a big 24 weapons in this game, having 12 primaries and 12 secondaries. Each gun feels unique and each gun has its little quirk. Not to mention how awesome they look. All the same vests are in the game, giving you the power to have whatever playstyle you want. Also, you get all the vanguards that are in campaign. There are 3 game modes in each game. There's a TDMS game mode, a free-for-all game mode, and a mode called Warzone. No, again, not that Warzone. In this Warzone, there are 5 phases of each game, and in each phase, you have to complete a set of random objectives throughout the game. It's kind of like War Mode from COD World War II, except a little different. This game mode was real freaking cool and really added a lot of value to the MP. I kinda wish there was other modes, but Warzone definitely made up for most of it, cause each game of Warzone felt completely different from another. But I also wish maybe Warzone had its own custom maps, because, you know, the regular maps are just kind of weird for this game mode. But again, it's not really a big deal. It's a handheld game, and I appreciate that they put the biggest Killzone modes in this game. Well, that's pretty much all the content of the MP of Killzone Mercenary, and honestly, I was and still am very impressed with the size of content with this game, and it really seems like they put just as much effort into the content of this game as a normal mainline Killzone game. How do they use all this content though? Well, gameplay wise, Killzone MP is pretty standard, but in a good way. There's basic things like running, sliding, ducking behind cover, etc. But there's just those little things that just make Killzone games fun. The brutal melee attacks are back, obviously. You can now interrogate your opponent when they're down. You can down them by shooting them in the leg using the tranquilizer dart or miscellaneous thing. You interrogate them, you reveal the enemy team's location on the map for a short period of time. Other than that, the MP just feels good and whole, if that makes sense, and goes back to basic. But that's not really a bad thing. There's a big difference between basic and hollow. COD Black Ops Declassified is hollow. No effort in the story, a half-assed attempt at a multiplayer in a third mode that just fucking reeks. That's hollow. But Killzone actually tries. They got a team that makes amazing third-party games and put them to the test to make one of the biggest franchises on PlayStation on a handheld. And they did it. The campaign is a full-fledged campaign built to make you feel accomplished, created to show you the perspectives in the series that you normally don't get to see. Get a retrospective of some of the most beautiful and most iconic locations in the series with an engaging level system, cool fights, and a good variety of objectives to complete. And a full-fledged multiplayer that stands with the giant that was Killzone 2. With a great variety of weapons, abilities, dozens of playstyles to play, amazing maps to learn, fun and chaotic moments to be had with your friends, like getting your first Sky Fury, mastering the tranquilizer dart and ruining the entire lobby, always getting brutalized by the Mantis drone. We all love these things about this game, and what made it so fun was that it's like something we've never seen before. Growing up with handhelds like the PSP and DS, we could never fathom that we would be playing something this fun, this spectacular, this complete, all in our fingertips. And that's a feeling we couldn't really get back, because now it's just commonplace to be able to pick up your Switch and play fucking Fortnite. But I will always remember how blown my mind was when I first experienced this game. So here's my love letter to you, Killzone. Although Gorilla Cambridge and Killzone is gone for now, I will always have these memories.